The only opportunities in life are just a matter of your imagination. What can you dream of? What can you think? Are you playing offense or are you playing defense? Playing defense is, I don't want to lose. Playing offense is a matter of like, I don't want to lose, but I'm also willing to try something and get good people around me to help me make the necessary decisions. And all of this is possible based on who you are.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for listening to another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I am your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I want to talk to you about things I witnessed from the NFL draft and how that can impact you when it goes to building wealth through life. For those of you listening for the first time, you'll learn I'm a big sports guy. Going forward, you'll probably hear more sports analogy and things that I'm doing in my life because I find that there's no better way for me to be able to take life and wisdom and marry the two together. It gives us the opportunity to recognize that the beautiful thing about this journey called life is that there's different chapters with different pages with different paragraphs written on them. So there may be a page that don't make sense to you. You can skip it, go to the next one. But as your host and your favorite silverback, my job is to ensure that I'm equipping you with the information as I learn it. Because I'm going to learn it, test it, deploy it, and boom, send it back over to you. And one of the things that I love is sports. You'll realize if you ever get the chance to hang out with me, like we can go deep dive on multiple different tiers of sports. At a period of time, I actually thought I wanted to work at ESPN to go ahead and commentate on sports. Modern day debate shows is something I actually enjoy consuming and doing. So it's all there. But the thing I love about sports is that sports are a direct representation of life. Because one of the things that I've learned is that no man is an island. Doesn't matter, you're a man or woman. You have to face like difficult decisions at a difficult moment when there's tons of people that may want to comment and there's tons of emotions you go through. But the discipline and consistency it takes to show up, even when you don't feel like it, is one of the most beautiful things. And so through different levels of sports, I get the opportunity to engage in that because I personally think that business is a sport. It takes a certain level of skill. You have to build the right teams. You have to overcome adversity. You have to refine your skills because the market changes. You don't know if what year in the 5-year cycle that market may be going through that it begins to shift. I'll give you an example. In the world of real estate, if you rewind back to this month in 2020, it was changed. People no longer wanted to tour homes. People just wanted video updates and 3D walkthrough. And there's a company called Matterport that drastically grew because they could give you 3D walkthroughs of a house. I mean, look at what happened from the flight from California. People left California, moved to Texas. The city of Austin has been changed. City of Denver has been changed because a significant event happened in March of 2020. People that I know personally that were operating businesses that were considered non-essential had to change. And some of them are not doing those businesses they were doing before because of that change. So what you'll hear me say time and time again is that the only constant is change. So how does this relate to the NFL draft and what points am I looking to make today? So one of the key headlines from the NFL draft was a man by the name of Shado Sanders. He is primetime Deion Sanders' son, quarterback from the University of Colorado. And so the thing that I've learned over time is I do not react to micro-based environments or micro-based situations or narratives. So the expectation that people were having is that he would be one of the first 10 people drafted. He went from that to position 144, where he was drafted later down the road in the 5th round. Now, in the history of quarterbacks that have performed the way he has performed, none of them have made it that low working at the programs they're at. So then you have to ask yourself the question, why? There's multiple different factors. But one of the things I want to tell you about the difference between the first overall drafted quarterback and Shado Sanders is, as much as I love Deion and I love people building their brand, you still have to interview well. Most people forget that professional athletes are employees. And when you have employees who are bigger than their employers, guess what happens? You have to look, you stop evaluating like, man, you can perform very well. But oh my God, think of all of the agony you're going to bring to the organization. Because quarterbacks are judged differently than any other position on the field. How they're measured is you have to go in as a 20-something-year-old kid and be the leader of men. They don't give a damn about TikTok. They don't give a damn about who your daddy is. What they care about is, who are you? How are you going to handle the huddle? How are you going to handle the press? How are you going to give me the football? How are you going to be Are you going to be temperamental? Are you not? And I'm all for expressing emotions, but I'm also in the space of recognizing there's a certain level of humility you have to be when you become a leader. When you start leading other individuals and their livelihoods are depending on you, there's a different level of responsibility that comes with that. What needs to occur is you have to begin to stop thinking about yourself and shift to what's in it for them. Now, this isn't about like giving up yourself and not setting boundaries or any of that kind of stuff. What it's about is the mission and making sure your actions are aligning towards the mission. So there's now talks that are coming out that he would go into interviews, as we were going to call this, like interviews, and he acted like he didn't care, like he didn't want to be there, like he was too good for their organization. And you know what happens then? You can be a prima donna if you won the Heisman Trophy. But in a lot of other positions, you can do it. But you look at those people that we know that cause more issues, even though they're Hall of Fame players. This is a multi-billion-dollar business that you're joining. And you have to understand where your role is. Now, how in the world does that apply towards investing and unlocking your 9-to-5? I'm here to tell you that I sit in conversations with people, and there's a distinct difference between a thousandaire, a millionaire, and a billionaire. And it's all going to come down to one simple thing: control. The more you try to control the situations and you don't have a certain sense of humility, the worse off the situation is for everybody. Because we're moving to a space where more of my millennial generation is getting into like senior executive leadership positions. And you know, the thing that we don't really desire is that nonsense. There's been a shift between, I'll tell you, in real estate, there's been a shift on the higher tier of high finance from the deal to the operator, the person running the deal. I have conversations where people say like, that's a really solid deal, but I can't imagine dealing with that person for 3 years. So I'm going to pass. And that person who is fell in love with their deal and treats people like poo, it ain't you, bro. They don't want to deal with you. So when I'm sitting here communicating to you as my fellow contrarians, I understand about being contrarian in nature. That's who I am. But what I want you to know is that being likable is one of the greatest skills you can possibly have. And if people think of you as a dickhead, it's going to be very hard to tolerate you. And it's okay. You have to come to face and measure up those moments, because the only opportunities in life are just a matter of your imagination. What can you dream of? What can you think? Are you playing offense or are you playing defense? Playing defense is, I don't want to lose. Playing offense is a matter of like, I don't want to lose, but I'm also willing to try something and get good people around me to help me make the necessary decisions. And all of this is possible based on who you are. So if we look at Shado Sanders and we look at that, showing up with 30 people to a job interview, aka your posse. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you did, that's some early 20-year-old shit. That's a bad beat. Showing up and acting like you don't care, that's a bad beat, because you're training a certain behavior. That's a certain level of work ethic. What are you going to do when it gets hard? Because here's the thing people don't tell you about invest. There will be hard decisions at different moments. Things will not go according to plan the way you think they're going to go, and you have to be flexible. But the more flexible you are, the greater amount of affluence you can be able to gain. Because those billionaires I work with, they go, this is what I want, what's required of doing it. And once you answer their questions, man, they don't even mess with you. They don't even know that it's happening. And then they're just reminded one day, okay, your house is done. Millionaires take more risks. We take more shots than the average person. Thousandaires, they mentally masturbate. They sit around and think about all the things that could possibly go wrong, and all they do is play scared, which is exactly why you stay where you are. So to land the plane and put a bow on this conversation, that's why I keep saying humility. Be humble, y'all. You're not going to know everything. And the more you try to talk about who you know, conversations you're having, things going there, real people do not give a flying fuck. What we care about is time. And how much time you're going to take from me in doing the things I want to do. But either way, people that are likable, that are humble, that are like they have a, not that they're being agreeable, but they have the ability to have, like, challenge their own beliefs. Because maybe they are wrong. That's where things become fun. That's when you're able to build the right opportunities. That's when you're able to start playing offense and lean, and actually not just lean, but run towards the life of your own choosing. So there you go. That's what I have to say about Shado Sanders in the NFL draft. I wish him nothing but the best. Sometimes in life we have to be humbled. Like, life will humble us to where we go, okay, maybe I overkicked my coverage. That's okay too, because we don't know what chapter he's in the book of life, and this just may be page 2 in chapter 2. So with that being said, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful, my friends. Cheers.